Hello and welcome to episode 29 of our front yard garden in the South Carolina upstate. This is August 24th of 2024, and it's a nice Saturday morning. Clear blue sky, really couldn't get any more blue than this. And right now it's the upper 70s, just kind of a perfect morning. And so we're going to get started with our mailbox bed, as we always do. Even though it's late summer, we have a lot of flowers still in bloom, and we're going to try to show off as many of those as possible today. I love showing off the morning glories at the beginning, and I try to do as many of these videos as possible in the early morning before they all wilt. With the sun, which is not quite as intense now as it was 2 months ago. We're almost 2 months into summer. These are lasting longer, but they'll still wilt by noon, and I want to show them off. So they are covering the mailbox bed. They look like they will continue to bloom probably for a few more weeks, maybe into October if we're lucky. So time will tell. Also here in the front mailbox bed, we have our vinca, which are doing very well. We have two groups, these red ones, which we got at Walmart, and then we have the pink and white ones, which have come up from last year. And they're not doing quite as well as they did last year for some reason. We don't know why exactly. But the ones from Walmart have done extremely well, although they're all kind of in the shadow of the zinnias, which have gotten significantly taller since last week. They are now 4.5 feet, even 5 feet for this one over here, one that has a butterfly on it. I'm trying to get a little closer view. Gorgeous little butterfly. They love the zinnias. And there he's back again, just trying to decide which flower he wants to stay on. Get lots and lots of butterflies and moths in this garden. Between the zinnias and veronica that we have in the backyard and our butterfly bushes, we get a lot of insects, pretty insects, not scary ones for those of you who don't like insects, and I know there are a lot of you out there. We've also got a few phlox down here that are still hanging on. They're completely hidden by the zinnias, which have really taken over the garden at this point. But that's kind of the nature of a summer garden. And there we go. Nice view of our little butterfly friend there. And they never stay long. They stay at one spot and then they move on. But these zinnias will continue to give us color for probably another, I'd say 2 months. We were still getting flowers well into October last year, right up until the first frost. Now last year our first frost was a little earlier. Unfortunately, it was in mid to late October. Sometimes we get lucky and we don't have that until November. We'll keep our fingers crossed, because once that happens, most of the flowers disappear very quickly. Vinca over here, these are all from seed. A few of them have come up from last year, but most of them were raised by my wife Jenny, who we've seen on these videos a few times. And these are doing extremely well, and they'll continue to bloom for a couple more months. We've got some more zinnias over here, and they're hiding our dianthus, which is still hanging on. This is primarily a spring flower, but we continue to get blooms throughout the year, which is kind of nice. And then in the back we have some marigolds. They're kind of fading for the year now. The flowers are doing okay, but the plants, I think they have a fungus. We had 2 or 3 others over in here. We've had to pull them out because they died. But they've given us a lot of nice color through the season up until now. And over here we have some tomatoes that just grew randomly by seed. We did not plant them, but they're doing very well. We do have a couple of actual fruit down here and some others that are just getting started. And so that's the first time we've had those in the front yard, not by design, it's just kind of happened that way. And I always like showing off this particular zinnia. It's an unusual one with this blood red color, and we don't have very many of those, but this one's in a very prominent spot. We've got some Russian sage back in here, still hanging on, doing well. It's kind of gotten a second wind here in the latter part of summer. These bloomed quite a bit in the spring, and then they during the hot time during late June and July, it really wasn't doing a whole lot. Now it is again, as things have cooled down slightly. We've got our climbing rose over here, still giving us some nice blooms, although I think its days are numbered. I've said that a number of times. Certainly, like every year, it loses a lot of its leaves due to black spot, but it keeps putting out flowers, and hopefully we'll get more of those before the end of the year. We've got a big dahlia here that we had braced with this little wire device here. The plant is so heavy, it's pushed the brace over. I'm going to have to settle that back up, but you can see the size of the trunk down there. It's more than an inch in diameter, so it's a very healthy plant. It hasn't done a whole lot in terms of flowers so far, unfortunately. We have some buds up here, but we'll see what it does, if it's willing to put out some flowers to sort of justify its place in the garden. Over in here, this is a particularly fun area because we have so many different types of zinnias, different morphology of the flowers. The most common type is this kind here. It's got some interesting little spots on it. Those are interesting. I like those. So you may get just one or two layers of flowers, and then you get others that are they have 3 or 4, and we've had a few. I think they're mostly done now, but they're almost spherical. They're sort of shaped like a golf ball, with a lot of different layers. One of those here. Although we've seen some that were even more sort of ball shaped, which is really fun to look at. Got a lot of black-eyed Susans back here. They continue to spread. We're going to have to kind of thin this area out a little bit. We don't want it to take over the garden. This is one of the many invasive plants that we have in our garden, and you have to thin them out to some extent or they will completely take over. Over in here, the shady part of the front yard, there's not a whole lot going on. This is primarily a spring area. This group of hydrangeas here still have some of their pink color, but they peaked about 2 months ago, and they're just slowly fading now. I'll just show real quickly our citrus grove. Our lemon tree has been growing. Our orange tree is really taken off. It's about 8 feet tall now. And then our smaller lemons down in here. Gotta adjust our watering hose a little bit. And so we'll keep an eye on those. Hopefully someday they'll give us some flowers. Even if they don't give us fruit, the flowers have just an absolutely heavenly scent that reminds me very much of being in California or Florida. And even if that's all we get out of them, I'll be happy. Got a few snapdragons still, still in bloom here, and that's about it. These have not gone crazy. We had a fair number of flowers in the spring, but they haven't done much since then. And then over in here, I show off this bed every week, but there isn't really much going on at this time of year. Now this is one exception. We have a number of azaleas which bloom twice a year, in the early spring and then again in the mid to late summer. Unfortunately, those are the only blooms that we have on the 4 azaleas that we have up here in the front yard. Then we have some hostas. They're all done for the year. Some hydrangeas over there, slowly fading. And then this one little flower here is kind of interesting. This is a crepe myrtle. Now this whole tree is a crepe myrtle, a beautiful flowering tree that's very common here in South Carolina. And oddly enough, this is not something we typically run into, but these shoots that come up out of the ground around the tree, they usually don't get the flowers on them until they're much bigger. And this one is not at all a big plant, but it's already got the flowers. So it's giving us a little bit of color here in the lower part of the bed. And we still have some butterfly bush flowers here. It's mostly done. Next year we're going to be cutting this back significantly and letting it grow over again. It's kind of gotten out of control. It just needs to be kind of chopped back. Here we have a few more flowers, a little bit more color, and a few of our knockout roses, giving us a little bit of color. We've finally deadheaded those, but I think they're largely done for the year. We might get a small helping of flowers now and then, but not a whole lot. And we'll finish up in our oval bed up here. The vinca doing very well, of course. They almost always do. Very hardy plant. I highly recommend them. We have some salvia over here. I've always referred to these as rock candy flowers because it's kind of what they look like, but it's salvia. It's primarily a spring flower, but it's gotten kind of a second wind here in the late summer, so we're getting some additional color, which is really nice. And then over here we've got some dahlias starting to come out. Brilliant purple color, just love it. These have not been terribly prolific dahlias. We would get typically more flowers off of those when we lived in Ohio. I'm not sure why the difference. They may just not like the heat down here, but we do get a few flowers to make them worth having. Now, I don't know what this is. For all I know, it may be a weed, but I kind of suspect that it's related to spiderwort, and we have another plant that's similar to this in the backyard that I don't have a name for, but it's an absolutely beautiful blue and yellow flower, very unusual morphology, and that has just come up this year. And then over here we have our 3 big knockout roses, kind of doing their second wind, or getting their second wind, having their probably their last display of the year. Big pink here, bright red in the middle, and then coral in the back. The coral ones came out a week or 2 earlier, and so they're about finished now, and this will probably be the end for them this year. And then daylilies, long since finished up. Asiatic and oriental lilies all finished up. We have some more of those blue flowers that I showed off earlier, and they're very pretty, but I honestly do not know the name of those. Our bee balm or monarda are just about finished for the year. They're usually a June and July flowers, so I don't expect much out of them. These are the last 2 flowers that I'm seeing there, and they're pretty well done. And that's about it. So I won't say an exciting week for our front yard, but again, if you like zinnias, this is the place to be. If you like vinca, those kinds of flowers, you are in luck because we have a lot of them. Fortunately, this time of year, that's really the main thing that you're going to get in this area. I forgot to mention this real quickly. This is our petite knockout rose. We finally deadheaded it a bit, and it's getting some flowers on it. I don't know what it's going to do. It's about as large as it's going to get. Hopefully we'll get some more blooms out of it before the end of the year. So that is it for this week. We'll continue to do this until the first frost, and so I think there's still a lot more color yet to come. And so until next time, I hope it's sunny wherever you are, and happy gardening.